the first to know Nsem-Pii TV.
Kwasi Kwarteng eden Nsem-Pii ababetu dwa ene hanopay na Dennis Miracles aboaje atimu areply na enya asem ketwa na eden Nsem ena Kwasi Kwarteng wabeka wanya ni instant justice from Dennis Miracles aboaje. Kwasi Kwarteng odu no ewo ha na yebebo na ensema Dennis Miracles aboaje so aka fa ho ye de ni nyina so abeka ho na Kwasi Kwarteng say MPP delegates ento abanfama Honorable Kennedy Agyapong na wonumomu emra na womeji Ghana si ho na MPP amayekuo from 2016 up to 2024 womu afeli eye Ghana poto na Kwasi Kwarteng echiremu a dollar ne galamsey ene enyuma ho nsem no de MPP amayekuo no chese womu antimu anyehwe amfa amwa Ghana fo na amafo bi nsema omubisa Kwasi Kwarteng ene Honorable Kennedy okompre kwa Agyapong company say na MPP amayekuo baaye no na Honorable Kennedy Agyapong waka amayekuo no ho ana na oka wona omubuma no ho ana na wote baabi e wode ne nsa agunubo na abusua ensema Kwasi Kwarteng ka ye na eye Honorable anase owura Dennis Miracles aboaje e ka Kwasi Kwarteng se womu pese womu eti womu peti nko womunka na omumfri MPP amayekuo no boko na womunkote omudie na womunya se die womojai Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia siwo na Nando Dankwa Akufo-Addo nyuma pa wobeye na enne Ghana fo ekosuku free no enumom ena omotake na Nando Dankwa Akufo-Addo na abusua Kwasi Kwarteng odu no ewo ha na mesrewa pa se wobeka me ho na meduako na ensemi ewo ka na o kyerese se Kennedy Agyapong pe ene bitwa beji Ghana na Nando Dankwa Akufo-Addo ni MPP amama yehwe ade so wo mu Kennedy Agyapong camp na yonko na yinkogotie nsemo kan ya ama Dennis Miracles aboaje say Kwasi Kwarteng ene Kennedy Agyapong wo mu free MPP num na wo mu nkoche wonku na enu ene ade a wo ya ebetimi abom yonko tebi ne ba Nsem-Pii TV yenetifu ebeto aso
24 no Dr. Bawumia declined Akufo-Addo's votes by 33%.
Akufo-Addo votes are only in 2020 no.
Yes, yes, but so by 33%.
Na I don't know so na say ya member ni niema bebre involved.
You see,
is it about Bawumia?
No, you see, that to be very honest, you may want to look at the factors that cause you a defeat. You know? I mean, it will be very unfair to say so on and carry cross. But then again, then what then is leadership? Because
the brand.
Yes, what then is leadership? Because the factors that may have caused Dr. Bawumia in this election, those factors also existed in the Dubai his time, and even more. What I say, those factors existed in Kufuor's time, and even worse then, because you quite the name tasty power period. Kufuor was even then coming as an opposition leader, but we had a certain vice president for the past 8 years, and has also been a former vice presidential candidate for the past 8 years. For consistently for 16 years, you've had the opportunity to market yourself. Then again, the question of marketability and visibility comes in. Whether or not marketability is the same as visibility. You can be visible but yet not marketable. Because marketability is benchmarked on acceptability. That is marketability. You're visible. So what then becomes a marketability. And don't share the past 16 years for him being around. Now they compare to John Mahama. The vice or no, the only time Obeye was about but his first election he won. Rollins for the first time and also contested first election he won. If you look at Akufo-Addo's first round, he won. Then Akufo-Addo at the time he put that performance on. The highest office that he had occupied was 2 ministerial appointments. Attorney General and a foreign affairs. So Kufuor cried no appointment but he demonstrated that track record. In the Oba na up now the back down. You cannot say because you are also part of the government.
Okay.
Scenario. If you talk about DDEP, how then do you say DDEP, a pure economic policy, you want to separate the vice president from it? The NAPCO people now, over 100,000 recruited over about 2 years. How then do you say you separate the vice president from it? when you call Central Region and promised them CBC Airport Amoma, yes, which obviously was the vice president that championed. How then do you look into Ghanaians face say Omonkahu? You pick dollar from 1 to 4, right? No, there's some way business to 4.
Dollar was 4.3.
4. No, 1 to 4.3.
Yeah.
Then we'll connect 17. Forget about anything.
16.
But almost we know running
16.
How then do you convince Ghanaians to say whether you caused it or you didn't cause it? We don't blame because we'll be in COVID and its repercussions. But at that time, as a matter of strategy, it was a wrong strategy to prevent a candidate party for any Ghana for whom to say he has directly been responsible with economic management. No, it won't work on that note. What I say, how then do you explain to Ghanaians and say, $1 no, afraid nipa na wo so economic messiah, or no make a statement to say, wa arrest dollar no e the key na my IGP, but you team was so arrest to krum skill. Say see the one can so arrest it makes sense. Because the world krum skill, Trump music or mutino. Somebody made the declarations of arresting, give so much hope to people. By the time we were living, it was then once to almost 70. How then do you say that Ghanaians will not punish us for that? And yes, there are some factors that it may not necessarily have been engineered by our former vice president, our flag bearer. But the truth is that you can also not decouple him from it. Because you see, so of no jawa japadia, ofa, meboa. Nemo woja kuku, let's say you kuku, the castle of Wakatesi, Yamboho. And the beauty of leadership is that you become responsible for the good things and the bad things. It cannot be said interoperability, you own it up. It cannot be said digitalization, you own it up. It cannot be that any good thing you own it up. We can say value than 1,000 interchanges the Ghana card. You cannot say which I disagree anyway. You cannot own all of them up, and then when it comes to you then believe say then what is the governance the enemy the governance and the you are part of the governance and ultimately you bear the brand. But at the end of the day, okay, fine.
Why can
media why can what I've given you, I'm going to address it from two instances. The first instance in the current state of the party, and the second instance is the current state of the country. You see, to be fair, Mahama has attempted to restore a certain hope. I mean, to be fair to him, even though largely he's just playing the optics and playing what Ghanaians want to see. And Ghana for person where the ehu. Recently, what say so I restore Indium, the bank, I don't know how true it is, but this
I hear there's something like that in the
pipeline. Granted, without admitting these are what Ghanaians were like. Not on the basis say be Indium, no any regulatory issues be out, and they be out. Yes, and most importantly, you might be the send the human eba. So to the ordinary Ghanaian, the basic decent life I'll be living in his own country. So you school you cannot live such a basic life. Maybe we are meeting here. UDS. Yeah, we school maybe 3 years. After 3 years on Juma. On one my move. The basic things I said you will be to Juma at all among Satmako and wow my moon. How then do you think about buying a car? How then do you think about building a house? My so enquetro Nanka, and you soon in the queen. What are secrets? And I'm not about what I say. The basic necessities of life, you can't say live luxurious life, but you are just living a decent life in your own country. Ultimately, live our own country. Do you the boys and Sanema America no aton, no they apply school, no Canada, and no school no person or no other country ma. The Ghanaian dream no only being a day in live. Ghanaian dream then they say, no set to ko one, so person worry or Timmy worry, so person hard out Timmy within a reasonable period that what you are a pension, so person would to every word would tear at to baby. Young castle could treat Range Rover, but Sebi will say a cooler, say a vet and upper sort of crowd to meet Troy at the Ebobra, or my Sasma making would fat Ghana for a nipa 100, a move 80% to 90% don't have this basic decent life. And it becomes very sad. It's also a school and can you school school but this time around, school you cry there. As a why school. As what's I upon the class already, school. na ne nyinaa kɔsi sɛ ne nyinaa kɔsi adwuma ɛho asɛm a yɛyɛ dɛ
amamfa sɛ obrɔfo wɔ soro kakra
ɔmo sɛ bɛbrɔfo no mate ne nyinaa yɛ adwuma ho asɛm a yɛyɛ dɛ yɛkɛn ɔmo a wohwɛ World Bank a wɔn mo sɛ mfie kakra bi a ɛda yɛ anim no ɛnkyɛn a meka yɛ bɛyɛ 2030 asɛm o nipa ɛbɛhwehwɛ adwuma ɛwɔ developing economies ebika developing economies a meka ebibire mu ha a Ghana yɛ dɛ ɛka wɔn mo sɛ ababɛ 1.2 billion ɛna bɛyɛ hwɛ adwuma na wɔn sɛ nipa saa 1.2 billion na wɔn hwɛ adwuma no bibire nyɛ adwuma no because our job market no ɛni hɔ wɔn mo sɛ about just 420 million pɛ na ɛbɛyɛ dɛ ebenya saa adwuma no tibusa ho sɛ wɔn mu aka bɛyɛ almost a billion wɔn kɔfa saa adwuma no yɛ dɛ ɛwɔ he nti enwuma asɛm ho asɛm ka yɛ dɛ ɛɛden oba Ghana ha yɛtwerɛ wɔ yɛ statistics mu sɛ yɛ unemployment rate yɛ 14% pɛ 14% bɛyɛ wɔ daadaa sɛ bi a yɛ dɛ ɛyɛ wɔn ani kontia because wohwɛ wɔn mu a wɔn nyɛ adwuma no a ɛwɔ hɔ in statistics sɛ 14%. But we bring now into the informal sector. Into informal sector, no. As we koba and calculate. Do you catch also your juma? But we just say juma the Twitch and the light bill, a Twitch and the water bill. Send a year in the mobile media ko yin or confirm not here. So in a busy problem to say be a surgery yet no emergency. Which is high in the muska. I saw confirm with any. One more moya juma no. Ti asem you. One more moya a juma Ghana hano. We never na make out. Ghana Statistical Services say. 80% underpaid. You will pure book less than 3,000 cedis. Yeah, think I know. You're high single room 2,000 Ghana cedis. Kwasi has so per decent life. Over high single room 1,005. Now high single room 1,500 cedis. Maybe about top to a book. O my me and submit your school fees. I'm a sound cramian son. Ubit your tights, or you'll be a UGD or Kwasoria. Say over you, won't but to singlet, over to blister.
So we are magicians.
We are magicians. I know that the chrono no yade eban. So chrono ne corruption ne ade ho asema ye ka no. Sometimes nkofo we are see apese ewia, but won we are for survivor. So, into 80% no a won mu ye adwuma no are underpaid. And the same Ghana Statistical Service no say 20% kwa de won mu live in abject poverty. Now 80% people so mu ye adwuma no less than 3,000 cedis. What I say? Now 20% so kwa de so mu ye extremely poor. And to share the country now, then if you look at the country, the whole 100% of data within the poverty bracket.
Okay, say.
Me case say, maybe a year drew no, here will be on the new album. Yes.
And you think Ken is the best?
So track record, no. Track record near day will be the biggest African, biggest school store in Africa, or some of the biggest school store in West Africa. Will be the biggest steel plant in Chakra in about 6 months. A grateful for a delay. Can you call commission at the other? We'll food factory. We'll
starch
factory. No money. I mean, the media. So yes, it's one person at his private capacity. 80 years here. That's why the catches or my or Baby be with the state authority or minor holding. Or my to me, or minor esika, or minor resources, or castle, one day not be in some answer will be in Maya. I didn't tell one, any class of material too. The one my can, the person Oba, can who's away. This is what 65 years. Maybe I drew no, Sabio, a dear Naje. Ya Kenina, yes, a dimpa. Now, Nankopo, Nankopo Fro, also a crowd, do by what's my day, Abua. Sikano will be. A man of 22, so and I was also 23 officially, unofficially 22. What I say, I was sure why they were heavy. The only say, Nipa, we are CBA, why they were heavy. No more or one year. Oh, yeah, man, see, I be happy. But be a drone, yes, say, one was be a drone, one was be jettimpa. We are castle, we be by near Ferry Kennedy, and conforcing a near thing, conforce or can drink. Conforce the end of Bede or Becca, and conforce candy on Tassia, and conforce candy emanins Simo, emanins. But beyond that, will be a new mamma and Cofra, no Musu say, Untimi and more brown Ghana, Untimi Yashi or Ghana, Unya be a day, or Ghana. So that's why Ken is coming, or be Numa, Muama Hotide, Abba. Manu, no one in Juma and Ucha taxes. Ucha taxes, no. And no minus 8 million be there day. I see hospitals and the other. So that's what the vision of Ken is coming to do.
Give them jobs.
Yeah, give them jobs.
Let them pay taxes.
Yeah, let them pay.
Let's use it to develop the nation.
asɛm nyinaa nti ken nyinaa no ano no na
bro for sem
dabi say na no me say papa ba ko de mi modi eso say ken e ba kra o kwa me for ntimi negotiations but even that mentality no wrong even in the first place
ntimi negotiations
so I was a ken presidential material and I don't know why IMF for ground ntimi ne abrofo no nkasa but in the first place so compare that IMF so we say wo man ye atutu no ba ya wo compare that Russian president so nka abrofo and the only team money man Gaddafi ti hey Russian president what you so nka z China ni what you no nka and you amunya wo man ye what has English got to do na nipo what parliament say na tree worker na sabi you tree yimpo no se no na e be campa na won sabako ano na ye dey Ghanaians are more interested in say nipo betima mo modwuma obahye oman no what discipline be oman be a party look at the background I've given to you let's hear koye look at the background you're presenting northern candidates yes so the worst performance in the north and the Zongo communities. Now Dr. Baomiaba responded. Then he confused Zongo communities with Zongo policies. We were saying, say, Zongo communities, Zolusu or Zongo communities. Then quickly he then came to Spain. Or said, Zongo policies, we need. We are not talking about police. We are talking about communities. You know there's communities. What I say? Even despite the fact that, Kawoye, Kremonino, you are predominantly associated with the Islam community in the Zongo community. Yes, we lost there. Until be a party in general. Now no kwaya blekuma ekoye hwehwe mo hwe ye okay now no hwe eyidi akokumidi ekoye ekoto sit in the train and the akwatia and the worst decision ever we made is at Tamale Central yenko and this if who no so ka ase de ebeko Tamale Central o mai wo de wa yedwuma ya che ye kwaye nisi yenwini but now your opportunity to present a candidate
and make an impact for 2028
the market because you really see a seat in it but still the decision of the party is at yenko to be a party in general. Now, also to comments that
I've seen your letter. Much more said they should be sanctioned any other.
Yeah.
There are people who also have a view. Say Kennedy's vituperations, there a certain anger, the temperament, and yet for leadership. How do you resolve that?
Oh my.
Nibufua some obeki kanin some be awaki kani
na no ko omuso mu ba ko America na no ya obi say so Kennedy won say sign but my main chair wade o my Kennedy onye sent me tra ka cho say Kennedy ye oso abofo konkra na me yetrofo nipa bia wo ade a na strength na ho ode ye de ejina and wo bibi so abori be ka say the shortcomings
the weakness
so ye de o ma otu obi because go atim ye de me obi minim candidates or no presidential primacy a ebi so asem dey are very humble obi so say no say ni pakro no obi atimi ye de control no ye weak enti sa ye ntibi de bia nti it all depends on how see the whether say obi hu ensuo say de agukuru so obi say half full than I say half full it all depends on how you see it. And no more Kennedy aya me sure say we nipa and they no akwa to no na kwanya wanya dey okay no ni wo ha yine besre na ye de dwa try dey aka home but a normal offer 100% or how more pay about 99% of some of Kennedy Kasabasa Kennedy nya Kennedy nya papa nyina were in defense of the party. One example so can we be opani e friend of Safomafu pani e friend Akufo-Addo Gabi Osaya Ochidako we dey atu no won ko share party for bi Gabi fie e wo Eastern region no mo ka se hwe na nkomo we dey party nkomo ne hebede yebedi no won mu din nkomo obeje di se obi fa phone e record the Safomafu here dey we were from MPP station no dey come Accra FM and NDC station so omo
no boy
na nkede ntokwa kese e be to achim ne asante fontem so when na we obi a we do sika sponsor party na fiti time e te party
and the man can say before Jimmy
yes because to him no na say ni do any
there's a sad the man can say I me party for Jimmy it's a better na wo akọ record yes now they have a 12 montain na we are
yes
what's up a casa do party what before
yes
party for Jimmy That was the reason
that
why
was the contest. That was the contest. And so nipa gyina so.
Say was a party na Jimmy.
When you say comment in the ground, okay, 2015. Yes, to Akufo-Addo won in 2016.
2016.
As one net after 2024, most say comment no, and you lose election. You see the logic.
Okay.
You see the logic.
Now you say the oye no odwene ho ntia say party babet ma record penny sabe create problem.
Yes, especially when we lose party mu do party na we party ni a we bushafo nyina party for. We don't know when you party for papa no ma when you party for. Moja yetwa party na e de eba no. Asem sa de be how. When you complain on that angle, yeah, also a Dixon and wedding.
That's right.
Maybe a PR person. Maybe Jimmy and make us so small idea. Sebioka, yeah, and I now say, oh, from what I say, Ubi Becano in a different but you see, it's also about time on what you weaken the leaders that you want to bring.
Okay.
He named himself on my sword. Road safety regulations has basic attitudes intimate air enforcer. Who took quite a regular traveler or chances of survival about 40%. Not because of the nature of the roads per se, but because of your suba and I'm quite also.
Do you seek and say, obey me the discipline about me?
I want to make a bay. Sanitation. Oh, my minimum so do that when I would took quite baby. Adia, who catch a bony on Tias and say, black man. Onwere did you ya enwu akontimnya de e manage woni krum adie flat afibia nya perenia nkan yete de bia afibia nkan ho asem most of them attitude na and then crowd ya baba kumase hwe galamse ya ye ka ho asem and NDC ya won ntimi so ho galamse abaye biggest minister yeso yeso ahode ehwa ya and asel kwa na ekosi unu de here galamse nyina it requires one thing political will. So we learn that you catch us enough is enough. Me instead of galamsey, maybe good and maybe to tourism. Because after all, what is it? Good, Nehemiah say. Compare ethanol, alcohol, yeah. Kasaprekwe, one person import $2 billion of alcohol. About my muhankwa, the Ghanaian market alone. Not to even talk about the other West African communities. And they say, yeah, identify Kasaprekwe, kuma 20. Oh, Africa hankwa. Near casting a bunch and converting into ethanol. 2 times 20 give us $40 billion. Nowhere what good gives us. No matter yes, and I day. No matter yes, and I day. And you need that visionary leader. Singapore, there no more. Singapore population there no. Singapore is around 9 to 11 million. But there no more. On the basis of pure tourism, young kunom go to 100 tourism young kunom. And there is a link. Our real sonko eda. Agriculture and socioeconomic transformation so man be abede e be develop our area sonko and that tourism and socioeconomic transformation can they say ade ba ko won sa eye de makoma so ye say we share all the other regions akana it's almost a ghost town, it's almost a ghost city but more kuma say unu tama kuma say de ba Friday Saturday Sunday do Monday Sunday you will be a janeko be a concrete kuma is almost a dead city and I say this without any disrespect. How do you make sure say Kumasi no affair ekoso enuma ekoso edwedi ekoso unu dey one thing was oye emo bi move ma crab you we ministries I won cry mo eye adwuma ministries on chichim for Afabra Asante region odwa ebia if I say bia ministry to say bia education we say central don pon mo so pa ye fa nko ho we be agric fakon off we be energy fakon western ebia wo me se bi wo ha Afabra Asante Bakua. And this said the whole country will be a move up a crown. This time around, maybe a dual Ministry of Education. There were 29 agencies in Kwan. 29 agencies in the Bia foreign partners and institutions on no yet a yejuma. Even if Kumasi has just 2 ministries in power, Nipa everybody now have to transact with Kumasi. Obana there's our high hotel. On Tobiane. It is why the faculty be quiet. What I say. Agencies no ba beje offices. Ba beje office no better and I instead of seeing